Greetings, this is Tormod, walking my way through my schizophrenic mind into physicality, into sanity, into breath, stability, into myself, into my being. And today I would like to talk a little bit of my history, my past, and what in specific was it that was my um, assistance, my help, my support, my tool, my program to knock out the old other previous programs, meaning like we know from Matrix and from maintaining a computer, to wipe out an old program, you need a new program. To wipe out the old existing program of pattern, addiction, or habits, self-judgment, beliefs, desires, fears, anger. To knock out such program, you need a new program. Very much intrinsically so. So, me reckoning myself being born schizophrenic. I reckon I was born schizophrenic, and within that, I grew into schizophrenia, you might say, in my late teens, my early 20s. And I was then diagnosed with schizophrenia in 2003 when I was 25. Some of the very key points of schizophrenia, of the symptoms of schizophrenia, I have here. That would be like voices in the head, backshots of mind, bad, traumatic, dramatic memories, self-judgment, addictions. So these are programs and specifics that I was living with as symptoms, as part of my psychology, my illness. So you can say I discovered destiny and started walking destiny I process in early 2012. I was aware of destiny and vaguely some of the tools provided by destiny already in 2010, I believe. But at that point, I was still very much stuck in my schizophrenia, in my suffering, in my addictions, in my psychiatry, in my world, in my very limited world of, what shall I say, extreme culture, addictions, pain, drama, alcohol, addictions, and so on. The schizophrenic life, you might say. The life of a young schizophrenic man, you might say. And I was often in hospital and, tried to be treated for my schizophrenia, which had little or no effect. And so I had to sort of find my own way, which was walking with Destiny I process. Now, Destiny I process is not only for people with mental illness. or by far. Or should I say that we all have mental illness, more or less. Maybe that's a more correct way to put it. Meaning that destiny is not only for people who have been in psychiatry for 10 years or more or so like that. Destiny I process and Destiny I process light or Destonians is simply a group of people trying to be better versions of self, trying to be change as the self, and within so, doing what is needed to live that, taking the steps required to live that, to be that change, and discovering self and realizing self on this very path, in this walk. Destiny I process is one of a kind. Let me emphasize that. One of a kind. There are no similar even types of self-help programs out there. Destiny I process is unique because it goes beyond the mind. It goes beyond it all practically. It goes beyond everything and brings everything back to self as a point of, for instance, responsibility for all as self, for self as all. For instance, with self-honesty, with being brutally self-honest about what was the story, what was happening, what is going on within us awareness. Being brutal self-honest about one's thoughts, about one's mind, about one's experiences of life. So, destiny is a group of people working to change self, to be that change of self, to become better versions of self, to be a unique engine, you might say, within self, for self change, for the world to change, obviously. Because like Gandhi says, and that many philosophers and people have explained through various phenomena and livings and so on, that be the change you want to see, obviously. And you might say things like, give as you want to receive, or love thy neighbor, equal money system. Such a base, such a fundament of oneness and equality, of, I say, what is good, what is best for all things considered, with self as starting point. And from starting to walk my Destiny I process in January 2012, I had walked a little bit before that and tested out Destiny, you might say, and realizing how deep it all went, what core it was able to strike with me, how serious, how you might say, how serious it was within terms such as psychology, existentialism, life, such a word, and to go all the way, to not let any mind constructs or whatever prevent one from changing, learning, evolving, expanding, for it to be the change as a nucleus of self, to be that cool change of a better reality for self, and so a better reality for all. So waking up schizophrenic in 2003 was kind of a new experience, you might say. Um, so at this point, I was addicted to alcohol, to street drugs, to sex. I was addicted. I had several different addictions. I was living with severe voices in my head, really bad voices that were nagging and crying and screaming and yelling and being you might say demons in the head, energy units within me that had a personality of their own, you might say. And bad memories, trauma that were reoccurring. There's that trauma, there's that trauma, there's that trauma, there's that trauma, over and over and over again. And there were things like self-judgment, severe self-judgment, always doubting myself, always judging, and criticizing and mocking myself, out of my mind's programs. Obviously, what I thought was, according to my mind and the programs, was the correct thing to do in such a moment. So let me start at voices. How did the Destiny I process help me to work with my voices, or backshots, or my memories in general? There is one thing in particular that I have learned. There are several things, but one of the main things that I've learned so far from walking with Destiny I process, walking my Destiny I process, is to learn to write mind constructs, to work with mind constructs. Meaning, I would learn to hack my own mind. I guess that is one of the best ways today to describe such a thing, that I would learn to hack into my own mind. And from learning to write out mind construct, to see how events were connected into each other, how to see my events, my memories, things happen to me, patterns, personalities, how all energies, all my history, everything that ever occurred to me, how it all created a delicate, you might say pattern, I say structure within and as my mind. How it all was sort of like a structure, a component, a design, a structure within me. And to forgive all the personalities, all the energies, all the happenings, the patterns, the denial, the beliefs, the justifications, the judgments, the thoughts, to forgive it all within and as my process, to forgive the details of my mind constructs, to pick apart my mind and see what was there and then just forgive. And you know, I have now walked, I think it's 4 mind constructs, and mind constructs can be like maybe 10, 20, 30, or 50, or 60, or 70 pages long, maybe longer. That's one mind construct, perhaps. Maybe 10 pages, maybe 100 pages, doesn't matter. Point is to get it done, obviously, to work on self, to open up self, to be self-honest, to take responsibility, and to forgive it all within ourselves. Because it's not some Jesus or Buddha or God forgiving me. It is me forgiving myself, obviously. And that has a much greater power and awareness and strength and everything like that. Potential within it. That is just like, satisfactory to. There's nothing that I've experienced in this life that I've been more feeling like satisfactory, uh, like it is to really forgive myself and to write out mind constructs and to see how the self-forgiveness, when I forgive myself in details, in many pages of self-forgiveness, to feel a relief of breath, feel a relief from my own darn breathing. I like a weight from my chest is released when I forgive and forgive and forgive of myself for the energies, personalities, beliefs, traumas, addictions, all the stuff, thoughts, everything, and becoming physical, becoming real, becoming grounded, sanity, breath. Can you see this? So, for instance, with voices, voice in the head, which is what very many people, particular with mental health issues, struggle with. That can lead to severe damage and abuse and all sorts. So what I would do when I hear I have a particular voice ringing in my head, self-honesty. Okay, I write out the voice goes ba ba da ba da ba da ba da. That's the voice. Goes like this. So then I would say, in self-honesty, with pen and paper, the best tool, pen and paper, and say, where does this voice come from? This voice comes from a particular memory I have of including this and this person. We're doing such, this 5 years ago, or this 20 years ago, and this from this happening, is from this occurrence, and these things are involved. To write out, voice in the head comes from this and this, is located there, it has these situations. To write out the voice, to see what's in the voice, how did this voice get carried into my mind? What personality am I living that is accessing this voice? What type of pattern am I living that is allowing this voice? So, writing that out and then forgiving it all, forgiving the voice in itself, the thought in itself, forgiving the energy around it, forgiving the personality, forgiving the circumstance, my bitterness, my fear, my sorrow, my regret, forgiving it all, and then look at, okay, now I've forgiven this pretty darn well. How can I change this thought pattern that I see I've been living within this? Like, if I have a bad voice, it will bring some side effects, obviously, maybe self-judgment, or anger, or depression. In addition to this, a voice in itself, obviously, and then around the voice, there is depression, or anxiety, or fear, or sorrow, or anger, or something like that. Around the voice in itself, around the personality. So, self-forgiveness is the very key element within desteni process to release self from mind slavery and to stop the addiction to the energies, be it feelings or emotions, to release the burden of self. So, working with desteni process have helped me to see how things in my life are interconnected, how my cogwheels have been, um, uh, related, how my cogwheels have worked, how they are engined within me. I've been able to learn to understand my own mind, to understand personality. What is a freaking personality? How does personalities operate? Why do we have to have different personalities? What are these polarities that are causing us to be bipolar, for instance? Where's the connection? So, personalities, beliefs, emotions, feelings, justifications, fears, all these things I was able to study, um, giving my destiny process online, um, online working online with writing and checking, also with a buddy support. Destiny process always comes with buddy support. Destiny process has buddy support, and you know, there is also a Destiny Light, which is much more, what shall I say, lighter course, obviously. Destiny Light course, which is a lighter course, which is a more easy course, not so deep going. Doesn't go fully that deep, you might say. And that is for free. Destiny Light course is for free of charge, with buddy support, with a cool program to walk, with the Destiny Light program, you get to learn to work with self-forgiveness and self-correction. With the Destiny Light process, you get to learn to work with self-forgiveness and self-correction, which is unique tools, which will give you great insights to self. Destiny I Process Pro is professional. It goes deeper. It goes deeper down or higher up or more beyond. It is something I've been walking since January 2012. It costs some euro each month to participate in the pro course. If you self honestly cannot afford the course out of your own pocket, it can be granted to you in a sponsorship, out of sponsorship. Out of sponsorship, it could be granted to you if you self honestly can't afford it. So, and yeah, these are the two main courses that we have today that we offer. The Destiny I Process Light, which is a free course where you learn to work with yourself, with your thoughts, with your mind, with self-forgiveness and self-correction, with a buddy support. It's for free. Sign up today. I will leave a link to the Light course. And also there is the Destiny I Process Pro, which is more in depth, which goes more beyond, you might say, and which costs some euro each month. Again, but if you can't self-honestly pay for the course, it can be sponsored to you. So this is a snippet and a brief touch into how I've been working through my schizophrenia using the snare process. The snare process is not only for people in psychiatry, and it's not only people without psychiatry, it's for everybody. And there are no excuse to why not forgive self, obviously. There are no excuse to not participate in this unique and highly beneficial self-therapy. So I will leave a link to the Light course and the Pro course below. If you have any questions about the snare process or mind constructs or self-forgiveness or how I walked my schizophrenia, please feel free to ask me questions, contact me, we can talk. You know, for me, walking with schizophrenia, the change is very real. The change that I experience is very real. It's more and more physical. It's more and more. I'm more and more grateful for having been able to walk the Destiny Process course. Grateful for having a much more better life. I have a way much better life than I had before. You know, I was addicted. I was in fear. I was in anger. I was in sabotage. In all sorts of addictions and devastating drama. And there was all sorts of commotion. And of course, there were good moments, but my life used to be so much based on uh, the lower end, you might say, of of the of the living of the life situation. So for me, it have changed from living with voices and backshots and self judgments and fears and angers almost all the time. Always there was either sorrow or depression or anger or nervousness or fear or doubt. There was always something that I had to, yes, learn. There are no other things that have taught me more in my life than my emotions, obviously, but that is another story. Uh, and to forgive all these energies, all these emotions within me, have given me a life that I am, even though I'm very grateful and happy about my life today, I still know that I have very much left that I could challenge myself. My potential is still out there, you might say, because none are free until all are free, obviously, as long as one person is suffering. In practical terms, we are all suffering, um, and there's no denial of that. I mean, there is no real happiness until we all are free. There is no real freedom until we all are free from systems and from our mind captivity, you might say, individually and collectively. So this is again a call. If you would like to set yourself free from mind slavery, I invite you there to check out Destiny, to check out self-forgiveness, to learn to work on mind constructs structurally, to unlearn self and hack into your own mind and set yourself free from the mind, personalities, and programs that have been driving us for a very, very long time with the world we see today, which is, what it is, obviously. So, if you have questions, please feel free to ask me. Check out the links, check out Destiny. Let's learn to forgive ourselves, because there is nobody else that can do it better than ourselves. There is no God or Buddha or Jesus that can forgive me better than myself. I have been my own worst judge. I must be my own best forgiver. Thank you and enjoy.